He represents every person who is oppressed under the regime, basically. Electronic music should be free anywhere around the world, no questions asked.
Reza, you came all the way from Amsterdam to Berlin just for this. Thank you so much, buddy. It means so much.
Thanks for the invitation, man. I appreciate it.
But you were from Iran.
Yes, I was born there. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. The society and the youth are really vibrant. There's a massive underground community over there, but mostly everything is under the radar.
How do they control this?
They basically just try to forbid anything that is related to electronic music. So what we do is we just operate under the radar and do it anyway.
What activity do you have in the club scene?
There are no clubs in Iran.
Yeah. So
we build our own.
It sounds fun, but very risky as well.
Absolutely.
So you're from the rave scene, as a promoter.
Yeah. And also for the attendees, I would say.
And you left the country?
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yeah, I was 15 when I left. I was a bit forward thinking in my, if I want to say it that way. I realized that there is absolutely no way that I could really change things around. So I come to conclusion that I would have to leave the country at that point.
And you left directly to Amsterdam?
No, I went to Turkey, and then I went to Greece, and from there I went to UK and stayed there for like 10 years, educated myself, and I kind of like got used to the society over there.
Where in the UK were you?
I was in Manchester, Liverpool, and a couple of months in London.
That's very complete. You got a good overview of the UK club scene. Oh, nice. And what brought you then to Amsterdam?
It's a longer story, but I had to go back to visit my family after 10 years when I was in UK. And I started going to different spots, look for like-minded people, I would say, like a special community, and just make friends. And through that, I built a network and I started like organizing raves and everything. And a couple of months later, when I got busted, I had to flee the country. So I wanted to try a different thing, a new country, and I chose Netherlands.
How did they bust you?
So the story is that we started really small with like 50 people, and then our community growth as the time went by. But in the same time, I was trying to make a documentary about the underground scene in Iran so that I could show my friends or the outsiders how really Iran looks like. It's not what they see on the media. We are actually really driven. Like there is a culture and it's really progressive. I just wanted to show that we exist and we have a voice. And when we got bigger and bigger, at one of our last parties, we got busted by the Secret Service. And yeah, they take our equipment, everyone got arrested, including myself and the camera team. And that was the story.
During the party or like during the shoot?
During the party. No, like we were partying and also like shooting at the same time. So
that's how you got famous?
No, I wouldn't say that, to be honest, but it was like they knew it. They knew it, and up to this day, I don't know how they figured it out. But one of the biggest dangers when you are growing as an underground organization or rave organizer is that you grow so big that you can't really control that much anymore. If you go above 500, if you go above 1,000 people,
it's a lot.
It's a lot of people, yeah, and it just only takes one person to make the wrong call or a mistake to for the whole thing to be over, basically.
Must be like so much pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you deal with that?
It's difficult. It's extremely hard. But, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, I would say.
How is it to stand on your own with your community against literally the state that wants to forbid what you're doing?
I think it's been going on for a very long time now already. And, people are really getting fed up. Like the younger generation than me, they just really don't care. They would just go out there. We have a law that says women have to, it's a law that they need to wear hijab all the time. And when you think about it, Iran wasn't an Islamic country 45 years. It was an Islamic country, but we had democracy, so you could choose to wear hijab or not. But now it's really just difficult. Like after the revolution, everything changed basically. Like electronic music was forbidden, hijab was mandatory. We have some ridiculous laws, and the youth don't really care about it. Now they just don't care. They would just come without hijab, or they do it in the street, just asking, like basically asking to get arrested because they're just done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What happens if you get arrested?
Depend on what the crime is.
It's crazy to say that you're directly considered as a criminal.
Exactly.
Just because of that, and like fighting for culture, like music.
Absolutely. It's just it's the Sharia law, and it's kind of a made-up law because when you think about it, you have Saudi, you have so many Arabic countries in Gulf, and they were the first nations and society to bring Islam out, and Iran was invaded such a long time ago, and we had our own religion and our own beliefs, and now the regime is more progressive than Saudis, because Saudis, like they build in a club, they have a lot of the freedom now, but Iran is still being the same and even getting worse and worse.
How come?
I think it's really beneficial for them in some kind of way. The more they oppress people, they benefit from it in some kind of way. It's really just hard to say. It's either this or they just really brainwashed, twisted,
Living in Amsterdam nowadays, you have the distance from Iran where you see and understand the things much differently because of a completely other perspective. How is it for you nowadays, and like what did you learn over the last years about your homeland?
Yeah. For me personally, when I left the country and as I grew up in, for example, Amsterdam or UK or different countries, like going back to the very first moment when I left the country, the first thing I would realize was I could just go to a shop and buy a beer, and without getting even like locked up for it. So it was really a good feeling, because it feels like you was in an environment like North Korea. Literally, Iran is really similar to the North Korea. So like when you have these basic rights, and you as the time goes by, you find out, okay, I can do this without getting caught. I can do that without being worried someone's gonna take me to prison or punish me or put me in jail. It feels good, but after a while you come to an understanding that it is absolutely not fair, and it's very wrong from the government for what they do to the people, the innocent people, to the youth, to the culture of this country, and so many things that's happening. And like literally, you don't have to do anything major to get executed nowadays. There was a guy, too much Salehi, if I'm not wrong. He just like raps and talks about like society and what's fair and what's not, like not really in a political way, but also in based in touches. Yeah, basically, yes. And yeah, he's been arrested now, and they want to execute him. And he's not the only one. Like there's been a lot of these cases, unfortunately, and people don't know why.
That's crazy that we're talking about death sentences,
yeah,
about being having a certain freedom of speech.
Yeah,
like it's totally like unimaginable in European countries.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
It is.
Do you have still contact to people there?
I do have contact with friends and my family. I keep my circle really small. I tend not to tell them what I do and what I'm up to. Not in details, no. But yeah, I check on my family. I talk to my old friends, but I don't really tell them much about.
Sure.
Yeah,
I understand. And what is the youth up to these days?
youths are doing what they do basically, and I'm proud of them. You know, they just being rebels. They go to the street. They would drink. They would go out. They would party. I mean, when I went back from UK to Iran, I was in complete shock to see how progressive and how cool these kids are looking comparing to the guys in Soho, Oxford Street in London. They look cooler than these guys being on the operation for such a long time. I'm like, dude, how can you do this? Like, how? Like, there's no internet. There's no fashion show. How do you come up with this? You know?
It's authentic.
It's just
comes from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just really proud of him. And that was the reason. I would just approach him, start a conversation. Sometimes it was really awkward. And they would say, who the fuck are you? Like, approaching us and, like, talking to us and everything. Then I would introduce myself. I'm like, dude, like, I want to do a party. What do you think about it? I'm aiming for 50 people in about a month. Would you like to attend? And that's how I started. And the result of having this extremely talented individual under one roof, there's a DJ playing techno, everybody's free, doing what they do, and a smile on their faces was the biggest thing ever.
Biggest
like,
yeah.
Up to this day, I just would say biggest smile on my face, to be honest.
How did you do to bring them together?
How did I bring them together?
Yeah.
So basically, I would just approach different individuals. They would call their friends, and they also invite their friends, and the word spread it out really fast, you know, because there is a big demand. Yeah, you know, everybody wants to come to the rave. Everybody wants to have this experience, and there are no clubs, so sky is the limit.
And how do you communicate knowing that social media is like tracked?
We weren't communicating through socials. Like, we had a Telegram chat, WhatsApp chat, mostly word of mouth. But when it got bigger, people would start taking pictures. People would talk about it in wrong places. But the idea was to really just keep it low-key as much as possible.
But this underground vibe just like survived.
Yeah.
And they still survive.
It does, yeah. We have so many crazy parties in Tehran. We have parties in Shiraz. And when you see the footages and the music that's playing, you would think it's somewhere in Berlin or Amsterdam, you know? Yeah.
Do you have contacts, like do you have an international scene, or it's mostly locals when you organize things there?
It's really low key. So nothing is really announced on social media. They would arrange it with a group of 200, 250 people. You would only know if you're in a group chat. So it's really just not regular. It's not like, okay, every week we're going to have a rave or party. You know, it varies.
I'm asking because like other countries in very difficult situations, such as Ukraine right now, is very active in this kind of scene, despite the difficult situation they're in. And this was also the case like in the Balkan during the war, like in the 90s, where a friend of mine used to like explain me, like they used to literally to rave during the war just because it made them forget their reality at the moment. And you have this new project, this movie that's coming out soon.
Yes. We made a short movie with Drift Festival, because Drift was one of my biggest inspiration when I moved to Netherlands and I started working there. And they've been nice to me since day one. And they heard about me doing raves. And first they didn't really take me serious-ish, or they didn't know about it. But as we continue to do more raves, that made a lot of noise and people liked it, they were like, wait a minute, it might be something that we should look into. So that was the case, and the video is coming out next Monday. I think it's on 20th of May, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like touches bases on the locations that we throw the raves and everything. It's an exciting project.
I can imagine. How long has it been done? Have you done shoot it for?
So we had the archive footages of our own, and then we collaborated with Tiny Giants, a production team based in Amsterdam, together with Drift. It took a couple of weeks to put the edits together, But when you look at it, it feels like, okay, like it's been worked on for months, actually.
It's always the same. A lot of work to put it in one small package. But looking forward to watch this movie.
Thanks.
Sure, it's going to be
Appreciate it, yeah.
a gem.
Yeah.
You worked with Volt Session as well.
I did an internship with Volt, and yes, it was amazing.
What did you do there?
So I was doing production, helping the boys with production. I would work as a stage manager. That's my main field. I worked as a stage manager in many years in different collectives, but mostly production and stage management.
This whole Corona situation was, of course, a global pandemic at a pretty fucked up times where also like plenty of positive things happen. You weren't shocked by that, you told me.
I wasn't shocked. No, it was really something that it was really normal for me, like normal-ish. Of course, I was a bit scared, but comparing to people who live in Europe, I wasn't basically, because I grew up in an environment that we always had to organize things under the radar. So we do it anyway. So Corona time was a perfect chance for me to start organizing illegal raves, and I wasn't getting caught like continuous editions without getting caught by the police, and everyone was like, wait a minute, what is this guy doing different, you know?
Because it's working.
Yeah, because it was really working. So they're scratching their heads like, dude, like he did a rave in a building that's next to my street, and I grew up in here. He did the rave next to the police station and didn't get caught. There has to be something this guy is doing, you know? So I saw an opportunity, and that's where we really just like start, you know.
The magician.
Yeah.
Why does the magic stop still?
The magic, I would say, being discipline and really plan things properly, as if you are competing against the Secret Service or something. You know, like you need to...
You were.
Yeah, basically. And it's really important that you take every little details into consideration. One of the skills that I developed over the years is to walk into a room, manifest the room, and make that room to a super club within 48 hours. And everything has to be done. The place is empty, okay, but if I like it, I'm going to make it a super club. And
this ephemeral state is super sexy. At the end, like in the partying, it's like, okay,
yeah,
you got to be there at the right time at the right moments to live this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go, you will never understand how it was.
Yeah, and people are just really loving the concept because they cannot predict where the next place is going to be. So every time we're going to be doing it sicker and sicker and sicker for Ravelution.
And you showed me a few locations.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I bumped into you in Berghain. And yeah, it was a magical experience. If I can say just one of many things about Berghain, what I really appreciate about Berghain was the whole structure, how much time and effort and details they put in. And I really appreciate individuals like this, that they pour their heart out for the actual place.
I think this is something that people who understand realize. The amount of work, energy, time, passion, and like they give everything, they live for that, and they created a safe space for many people. Like even if it's like difficult through the current political events, for everyone to understand and respect that, I think they're doing an amazing job, to be honest. And that's how we've met.
Yes.
So I'm very happy that we...
An honor.
Yeah. But for you, it's more the rave scene than it's more outside of the clubs. What do you think raves are missing what a club has?
I don't think rave is missing anything. I think the worst rave you can top 10 times a club that has... Well, not every club, but most clubs are really lacking. So I wouldn't rate a club over a rave, which is properly organized.
No, of course. And what does for you, because like you're the first rave promoter that we do have on the show, and like not a typical club person, I would say. It's always interesting like to compare, like to inspire the other side. Let's call it like this. So what would be that a rave has that a club hasn't? The magic of the moment. We talked about it before.
That's a good question. I would say just not making everything super accessible in terms of like what I like, for example, what I like about Berghain is that you don't know if you're going to get in. Most clubs are easy, so you can choose what time you're going to go. Everything is really planned. So like the more you make it hard for individuals, the more they appreciate it. That's what I think. But there are also a lot of things about safety, of course, sound, I see a lot of lack of creativity and a lot of details, like the sound is not good, the stage is not good, the whole personnel is sometimes not good. So I think I would appreciate people if they put much more effort into making a club a unique club, rather than just having this money-driven mentality of, okay, we're going to sell that many tickets and we're going to have a small production and it's going to be a win for us.
But that's a big difference between this both part of the scene, is that one is based on capitalism because, of course, like it's jobs for many people, the people at the door, at the bar, the DJs, where during a rave, it's more like people doing this for passion. But there is other who live from that, and like there's a big organizational part that is totally different.
Yeah, we also have the same personnel in my raves. So we have security, we have awareness, we have bar, we have a full personnel, the exact amount of people and the positions as the club. And most people get paid for. Some volunteer, but we also have this. It's not that DJs don't get paid. Everybody gets paid. So I don't know, like I said, maybe they have to improve. They have to maybe put more love into it, more passion into it. And if they don't have it, it's going to be a little difficult to just come up with something,
But I feel like Berlin is doing a very good job. Amsterdam as well. What tips could we give to other cities that do not have this flame or like this motivation and understanding of the scene to improve their scene, whether it's in a club or in a rave?
Come to Berlin, come to Amsterdam, go out more, try to network and see. If you're not successful, then there must be a reason for it. And if there is a reason and you want to change it, you need to be open to criticism. So you have to kind of change yourself, learn from your mistakes, and try to, top up your game a little bit.
And if you are no one that's from a very unknown city, let it be a small city, whatever it is, you want that, but you have no direct access. It's very difficult. And like, how can these people do what we're doing in their town without having to get to know what we're doing?
I would say try to apply for internship for different collectives, like try to learn. Maybe you're not going to get paid for certain amounts of time, but the knowledge you get from this internship in different cities or a certain collective based on the music that you like is priceless. The knowledge is power. So just come, apply for the internship, educate yourself, and go and kill it in your town.
I think that's why also we get along so well, the two of us. It's because we took so many risks. And I mean, it's also a big contrast because I do come from a very privileged country, Switzerland, where we do have, for us, it's like everything is like super nice and normally comfortable. But it was also like where I was born, like the scene we had no scene. We built one. And I had the chance, like I took the risk to move from a very comfortable situation for a poor city at the end, which is Berlin, and to go into a field that's graphic design. That was, I made everything I wanted in the field, but it was like, professional-wise, it was not what I wanted. So I had partying on the weekend and like discovered this whole club culture thing. Then I was like, hey, there is something to do about like to replicate this in Switzerland because we can somehow. And then talking about it, connecting with people. And I mean, 8 years later, we're here talking about it, having you on a show, being a totally different person from another part of the world, doing the same. And I think this is super important.
Super important, and such a beautiful feeling and the rush you get from it. And that's what I did when I went back to Iran from UK. I just wanted to take the underground to the next level, to a certain extent, and it feels good.
Because I think we are the next generation. Like, we show the way, and if we fuck up, the scene's gonna be shit and TikTokish, and that we don't want.
No, I don't think under our watch. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Is social media a big thing in the rave scene?
Not necessarily. It depends how you promote the rave, but nowadays there's underground and there's underground. So like us, we do things a little bit different. We have private accounts, so everybody who wants to attend has to go through filters. They would send a request on social media. If there are mutual friends and we know them personally, they get accepted. We don't put ourselves out there. If we have a illegal rave, the last thing you want to do is promote it.
Sure.
You know, you have to be able to build a community that is self-sufficient. You don't need to promote it. Like, it takes time, but once it's there, it's there.
I observed in the rave culture of Switzerland, which was, when I was living there, kind of very developed, because like we went into raves straight up in the mountains, 2,500 meters. It was cold, but like still you had people dancing in the middle of the forest, and that was incredible. Down in the city, you had the city people, like the cool hip people.
Yeah.
The attitude was way different.
Yeah.
They were less there for the fun, but more for like, it's cool to be on a rave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean with, you can tend to create a kind of elite, because like techno is cool, club culture is cool. We also see this whole thing with social media, the hype that you're not into, which is great, I think. The whole fashion industry that's taken over, like kink stuff that's becoming mainstream. How do I basically just encounter that? How do I build that elite community, right? Is that the question? It's not about building an elite community, but more about getting the right people in, like keep everyone humble and making them reflect,
Yeah.
Okay, we fight hard for this, stay humble about the hard work, and let's make this together, because it's about the fun, not being about being better than the other.
Yeah, sure.
And not about going into the mainstream either.
Sure. So for us, personally, I always try to approach people. So I build that community really carefully. So I would just tell about my party if I knew the person. And I build that community around that. But we also had people who just appear out of nowhere. And we had incidents that the person was doing something really crazy or weird, or would make problem or put the rave at risk, everybody's safety at risk. I would approach the person directly. That's how I approach it. But in the other hand, if like you don't control it, and the community is built combined with ravers or the other kind of people that don't really respect, or they kind of have the different mindset, I think you're going to have some hard times trying to combine it. I don't have an answer for that.
And how do you make sure that the people from the community are the right one?
Basically just going through filters and filters and filters. Like, it takes a lot of hours to see who bought the ticket, look him up online. I check every person who is coming to the rave. Like, it takes a lot of my time, but I always commit myself to make sure the party and the attendees are trustworthy.
Yeah.
They're not going to cause trouble for the organization or the people attending the rave.
And how do you keep a rave safe?
Like I said, you have to stay with your principles. You need to make sure that you have a tight security. You need to do your background check for everyone who is attending, basically knowing that where the person heard about the rave. Being on top of it, like having, obviously I cannot give my secret weapon, but like just having a structure that is really effective from A to Z. Yeah.
How many people do you need to organize your kind of events?
Like right now, we can just easily do a rave next week with no promotion with 500 people. But I don't want to go bigger, you know. If you go around 1,000, then you are looking at some risk and some troubles, because then you will need a bigger operation, you know, to be in place. Yeah.
What do you face if you get caught?
In here, in Netherlands, or
in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, based, I think it's mostly like a slap on the wrist. Like the worst case scenario, they would just take your equipment, and if you do know the right people, you can get them back. There was only one time when I got caught, and that was before Corona, and I trust the guy who was a local guy, and he said to me, I know a cool location, we should just give a little rave over there. And I trusted the guy. So we went on the bridge, installed everything. The first DJ started playing. 2 hours later, there was a police. And what happened was the guy came to us, and he said, hey, are you okay? Do you need some assistance? Do you want us to, do anything? It's super nice. I was really in shock because comparing that to the experience in Iran is just like completely different, upside down. And not really, to be honest. Like you won't get in trouble, not big trouble.
And on the health side, how do you keep a rave safe?
Yeah, so it's really important to have at least 3 or 4 people for awareness. Also having the whole staff, the team members, to be wary of a person who is not feeling well or is just acting a little bit different. So being in communication with the whole team constantly is the key. Having a security, having a first aid person on duty, making sure everyone's safe. Like it doesn't take us more than 10 minutes to find out if someone's not feeling well, and that's the longest, I would say. And we had that before.
And the personnel, do they have special outfits?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So yes, yeah. They often have the green vest, or they have badges from our organization Ravelution, and we communicate that in advance through the email, through WhatsApp chat, so that they know who is the person of contact.
And one last question.
Sure.
The name Ravelution, it's quite powerful.
Thank you so much. It's named after the revolution in Iran, for the youth in Iran who fighting for their freedom. And it just doesn't represent Iran. It represents every person who is oppressed under the regime, basically. Electronic music should be free anywhere around the world, no questions asked. This is amazing. Thank you so much for everything, and such an honor to be here.
Reza, brother, I wish you all the best for the future, and we keep in touch.
Thank you very much. Cheers.